Hello and welcome back to a new Rage Gaming video, and boy do I have news for you. My name is Hollow and today we're talking Rise due to the pile of new information that just came out today. I don't know what is happening, but various outlets suddenly revealed loads of new information from various interviews or even exclusive gameplay. So I'm going to talk about one major announcement and big things we learned from the IGN Village tour for this video at least. Let's get straight into it and start with the big news. Rise is now confirmed to be coming to PC. That is fantastic news. The biggest weakness of Rise has easily been its exclusivity to just one console, which walls out a huge chunk of the player base who don't have a Switch. Naturally, I'd be happier if this game was coming to also Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, but I will always at least take more options over just one, which is what we were dealing with before. In any case, this information comes from the interview with Fanbyte, in which both the producer and director of Rise were in which they confirmed that the PC release for Rise is coming, but is currently in development and is currently expected to come early 2022. Unfortunate news there with the minimum year wait for us PC players, but we had the same thing in World after all, being behind on the release and then content for an extended period before we finally caught up. This is wonderful news that I think we can all be happy about. This gives more players a way to actually try Rise, and that's what matters. I would love it if there was any word on crossplay between Switch players and PC players, because that's really what I want in World, everyone to be able to play together. Has that ever been done before? Are there any Switch games out there that have crossplay with PC or other consoles? If anyone knows, let me know in the comments. Moving on then, we had that surprise tour of Kamura Village. This came from IGN, who had a detailed look at what's in the new hub and how it's going to work. From that, we saw lots of new mechanics and important things to note, so let's just dive in. The tour begins with us running down that main street from the trailer and heading left to this outdoor canteen, our source for meals before hunts. The new dango menu now grants us food and stamina no matter what we eat, with the uncertainty being, say, damage up with large, medium and small, or defensive buffs or elemental resistances. The new system is fantastic. You simply choose 3 dangos, which each come with specific skills which have % chances for that skill to activate when you do eat them. Familiar to the feline skills we previously would have, just easier to manage, while of course by progressing the game and upgrading that canteen we'll unlock more dango and more food skills to use. This is more straightforward and actually reliable, with better options for choosing which food skills you're wanting. As always, the hunter is incredibly aggressive in how they eat this wonderful food. Can you just not slow down and enjoy it, you animal? After the eating animation, you will see the benefits you got from that food, with the health up, stamina up, and of course which food skills successfully activated. Now turning back to the right, we have this new and peculiar merchant. Here is where we access the market. This is where you'll scan amiibo if you have those for maybe their special rewards, or like we know, roll the RNG gods for your daily chance at different items. Otherwise, as usual, here we can buy and sell important items and also consumables. Anyway, now we head into the dense wooded area on the right side of the village. We see the Buddy Plaza. In here we have the Buddy handler, Lori, who manages your Palico and Palamutes, while Kogarashi handles your mercenaries to send out on missions for materials, kind of like in the old games. This is also where you can access the training area by taking this little ferry. And as we know, that new training area is much bigger and more involved. We'll have a look at that later. Oh, and hey, Rondine is here in this water area as well with her ship, the Argosy, in which we trade possessions in exchange for items. Plus, there's also a buddy board here, basically a place to manage our current buddies, choosing who is coming on the next hunt with us, sorting equipment. Those are actually all over the village for ease of use though. Talking to Lori, we see the buddy scout system, where we hire new Palicos and Palamutes and organize the ones that we do have, if you want to rename them or lose some. The Palicos shown in this footage do have different traits for different purposes, so you may want a high level version of multiple types of Palico depending on what your endgame goals are, while the Palamutes are a bit simpler. They just have 2 gear slots for the weapons of choice. The animation that plays when you do hire a new buddy is pretty nice. Just like every NPC interaction in Monster Hunter, it's full of life and very expressive. Looking at that buddy board though, we see a lot of options to manage with who's coming with us, what they'll be using. Here we can choose buddy skills, gear, change their appearances, and even change their behaviors. It's so many options. For equipment, we can actually choose specific piece pieces, such as for the Palamute, its weapon, its scarf, and its saddle. Now, as we head back to the main street, we see Senri the mailman. This is how we're going to swap from local play to online play, depending on what you're looking to do. This does finally answer the question of how we swap between the two at last, since obviously we know we can hang around the whole village together in multiplayer now, but I was wondering how that will work. This is also the place where we can download additional add-on content if you happen to have that, and interestingly, we're told at this moment that we can play event quests offline. This is done by downloading the event quest when they're available while you're online. Then we can play them whether online or offline from there. That's a nice update. So anyway, if we're playing in the village together and online, does that mean that gathering hubs are gone now? No. Down the route to the left, past that canteen, we head to our new gathering hub. This is where it's noted that the UI at the top right shows our current progress with quests. It shows your current village and hub progress. As we know, village and hub quests are back, right? The separate hunts previously tied to solo and multiplayer. Now, we're still not certain about all the details around that, but we do learn some things here. Like how for the first time we can check our current progress through the stage we're currently at. It's simple and important direction for new players who aren't sure what to do next, or who they need to go talk to progress the story. Hell, even World could have benefited from that a bit. But this matters most for the older game style specifically. This is huge because it's a lot clearer on which quest to do to unlock the next star quest. Before, we'd be doing guesswork, or more likely following some guide on which quests are required to unlock the next star, instead of just doing them all. Now when we look at the quest counter itself, we can see the number of key quests required for this stage is 5. So that means we can choose from the key quests to do, aka just do 5, or complete only key quest itself. Added context for this comes from some old Monster Hunter Twitter footage showing a page with 6 key quests and then extra ones you can do if you want to, meaning it shows you which key quests you need to do and which you don't need to do. Anyway, now we're at this stage with the hub. We now see multiple hunters hanging out. Hey, look at the Kezu hammer. That's horrific. I love it. Just like the usual hubs, we have various features you should expect for this type of area. Social mini-games, and also another way to eat a meal before a hunt. Shown after this is, very interestingly, how we can access the quest board from anywhere in the village, no matter where you're standing. You don't have to specifically go back to the quest board anymore. What a highlight from this video that is so suddenly shown. A wonderful quality of life improvement. Now, just like before, we can pull up the map to choose a fast travel location to anywhere inside the village if you want to go somewhere specific very quickly without actually walking there. I would say that's most important if you want to get to the training area, because that's pretty far away. Speaking of which, hey look, the training area. Here we see multiple hunters hitting the main target, as we've seen in the training clip from Twitter, so we can finally practice in multiplayer. As before, we see tons of useful information about your weapon and potential abilities, combos to use. As I said before, this is truly the greatest training area we've ever had in Monster Hunter. Also, by talking with the training Palico near the entrance, we can change the training options more specifically now, like changing the attacks of the dummy to actually practice, say, parrying, or learn to deal damage while avoiding it. This is so much better. Now, lastly, from this gameplay, we do have a look at the new smithy. This is near the main entrance, main corridor of the town. As always, it's the place to forge or upgrade equipment. Here we see a very familiar weapon tree list, organized just as it ever was, a bit all over the place when you first look at it. But nicely, we have clear icons for things like status and element effects on the gear. And importantly, we now know that the armor skills in Rise are going to be very comparable to World, as it is following the same core system. Good news. But with the new addition that if you wear 3 or more pieces of the same armor set, you get added resistance stats as a better defensive option. Now, this isn't going to kill endgame mix sets, but what it does do is encourage players to progress through the story for the first time and those earlier quests while wearing full sets. Instead of looking like a mixed set clown, you'll be a bit more matching, and also you'll be more survivable with those added defensive stats. Plus, the smithy actually comes with a Palico smith on the side called the Buddy Smithy. It's just a separate menu and character to craft equipment for your Palicos and Palamutes, which certainly organizes things better. Much appreciated. But that was everything. What a fantastic tour of the new village, giving us lots of new information to work with. I'm really happy with how that was done. It was very clear and very in-depth. The way we've been given our information for Rise has been incredible, but it doesn't ever stop, does it? Speaking of which, I better go look into the other new information we were walled with today, so I'll see you next time for that. For now, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.